You ever meet someone who just doesn't break? I mean, they face any situation, any pressure, without a single hesitation, while everyone else is scrambling for an excuse? Well, there's a level of mental strength out there that seems almost superhuman. And today, we're going to look at how one man figured it out 400 years ago, and more importantly, how his methods are shockingly relevant right now. This is the Musashi Protocol. Now, what's so wild about this is that the approach from the legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi is completely backward from what we're usually told, right? It's not about adding more motivation or finding some new life hack. Nope, it's about elimination. It's about systematically taking away the weaknesses that are holding you back.
Just think about that for a second. Seriously, if you could just snap your fingers and remove one thing, one bad habit, one fear, one thing you depend on that's really getting in your way, what would it be? See, this isn't just some history lesson. This is a personal journey. So let's dive into this first core idea, strength through elimination. We're going to see how stripping away our dependencies, piece by piece, is actually the real path to building that unbreakable kind of strength.
So, who exactly was this guy? Well, Miyamoto Musashi was a Japanese swordsman, a true legend who was undefeated in over 60 life-or-death duels. And get this, he started when he was just 13. His secret wasn't that he was the strongest or the fastest. It was that he forged a mind that knew zero hesitation. Late in his life, he sat down and wrote the Book of Five Rings. But this wasn't some abstract philosophical text. It was a practical how-to manual for warfare that translates directly to the battles we all face in our own lives.
To really see how this works, let's fast forward to today. I want to introduce you to a guy named Lucas. He's a 32-year-old engineer who, like a lot of us, felt like he was struggling. He just felt weak, not just at the gym, but in his own head.
Does this look familiar to anyone? I mean, the intentions are always great, but the execution, not so much. He'd tell himself he was going to wake up early, then hit the snooze button 7 times. He'd swear to start a diet on Monday, only to break it by Wednesday. And at work, whenever the pressure was on, he'd just freeze. This cycle just kept going and going, until one day, in a huge meeting, he had a full-blown panic attack right in front of his boss. That was the wake-up call.
So he goes to the doctor, and the doctor tells him something that just completely changes his perspective. He said, "Lucas, your mind isn't trained. It's reacting to everyday discomfort as if a tiger just walked into the room." Basically, his nervous system needed to be retrained from the ground up. This idea sent Lucas on a search, and that is when he stumbled upon Musashi's practical manual for life.
And this is the very first thing Lucas learned, and it is absolutely crucial. Eliminate your dependencies. Musashi's whole thing was that your strength can't depend on perfect conditions. If you can only work out when you feel motivated, or you can only focus when it's perfectly quiet, you're weak. Real strength is being able to perform, period. Anytime, anywhere.
So Lucas puts this into action immediately. He starts super simple, 20 push-ups a day. That's it. No gym required, no special time, no excuses. When he traveled for work, he did them in his tiny hotel room. When he got the flu, he might have only done 10. When he was exhausted, maybe he only did 5. But the one rule was simple. He never, ever did 0. He was literally training himself to act, regardless of how he felt.
Okay, so after a while of this, Lucas is noticing his body is getting stronger. The consistency is there. But his mind? Still a total mess. He was still anxious, still worried all the time. This brings us to the next stage. Building the unshakable mind. It was time to train his mind with that exact same discipline.
And that's when he found this incredible concept called Heijoshin. It translates to the everyday mind. Musashi wrote that in the middle of a battle, your mind should be exactly the same as it is when you're just calmly sitting and drinking tea. No crazy excitement, no paralyzing fear, just pure presence. The goal isn't to get rid of fear, it's to become the kind of person who doesn't need to react to it.
So here's how he actually practiced it. Whenever he felt that familiar wave of anxiety start to rise, he'd just stop. He'd feel his heart pounding, his palms getting sweaty, and he would just observe it. No judgment, no panic. He'd just watch it, like a scientist. And the first time this really worked, his boss was yelling at him in a meeting. Instead of freezing up like he used to, he felt the fear, he watched it, and then he responded. Calmly, clearly. He had found his everyday mind.
All right, so his body is getting stronger, his mind is getting calmer. Lucas was ready for the next level. It was time to integrate these two practices, to bring the mind and body together under this powerful new principle, the strategy of emptiness. See, Musashi knew that mental toughness is just an idea if your body can't actually handle the pressure. When your body is weak and shaking, your mind will follow. It needs a solid foundation. This is Zanshin no Michi, the way of the warrior. So Lucas started to up the ante on his physical training, forging a body that could truly support his calm mind.
This led him to what might be Musashi's most powerful strategic idea, Hyoho. It sounds weird, but the concept is profound. When you focus only on winning, you get reckless, you create openings. But when you focus on not losing, you become a fortress. You become solid, whole, without any weaknesses. You just wait for the other guy to make a mistake, and then you execute perfectly.
So Lucas applied this at his new job. He didn't try to be the brilliant superstar anymore. He just focused on not losing. He was never late, ever. He delivered exactly what he said he would, when he said he would. He didn't create drama. He simply didn't make mistakes. He became the most reliable person on the entire team. And guess what? 3 months later, he got a promotion. His boss literally told him, "You're not our most brilliant mind, but you are by far the most reliable." And reliability always beats brilliant.
So at this point, Lucas is transformed. He's strong, he's mentally unbreakable, he's successful, and this brings us to the final, ultimate stage, becoming the practice. Because, true strength isn't built when life is easy. It's revealed when the final test comes.
105. After 105 days in a row of flawless training, of building his mind and his body without a single miss, Lucas gets called into an emergency meeting. The company's making cuts. He's being laid off.
Now, the old Lucas would have completely panicked, total meltdown. But this Lucas, he had developed what Musashi called Heijoshin, the unshaken mind. He felt that initial shock hit him. He recognized it, and then nothing. His mind didn't spiral. He was just present with the facts.
And just look at this contrast. His colleagues, who also got laid off, were panicking, crying, totally paralyzed by fear. But Lucas, he was calm. He went back to his desk and immediately started planning his next move. While his former colleagues were still jobless 3 months later, Lucas had 3 different job offers on the table in just 23 days.
Musashi used this incredible metaphor to explain Heijoshin. Lucas was calm not because the storm wasn't raging around him, but because those 105 days of consistent practice had built deep, deep roots. When the wind hit, he didn't even sway. He was just ready.
This is it. This is the final stage of the whole transformation. It's what Musashi called Kenzin Ichi, where the sword and the self become one. For Lucas, the practice wasn't a chore anymore. It wasn't something he had to force himself to do. It was just his identity. He hadn't just built discipline. He had eliminated the parts of himself that ever wanted to quit in the first place. So when you look at this whole journey, you realize that this kind of strength isn't just for ancient samurai or some special chosen few. It's not about ability. It's about willingness. A willingness to do the hard things, the uncomfortable things, and to eliminate your dependencies, your excuses, and your weaknesses, one by one. So the only question left to ask is, what are you willing to eliminate?